Welcome to the Tibet Center here at 151 West 30th Street, 6th floor tonight. So we will begin by reciting the prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West, which you will find down in the FAQ section if you scroll down on the Tibet Center's website. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddha's teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which is a source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we had hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once, the Blessed One who is dwelling on the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time the Blessed One entered the Samadhi which examines the Dharma called profound illumination. At the same time noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn to wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this. Seeing the five skandhas and their natural emptiness, form is empty, emptiness itself is form, emptiness is not separate from form, form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendental knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear, they transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for there is no deception. Transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed. Kayata Om Kate Kate Parakate Parasamkate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara
that whole gathering and the worlds of gods and humans, asuras and demigods, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One.
Generate bodhicitta.
With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the mysteries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the mysteries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the mysteries of the world.
So let us do one rosary of Om Imagine or develop the wish to remove the suffering of all sentient beings. That's the thought that you should be generating. It's like Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. So we develop the wish to remove the suffering of others. We're not really able to remove their suffering. What is Tony bringing out of his bag? Sounded like chips or something.
No.
Cookies or
The text. Official.
So, though we would like to be able to remove the suffering of others, I think it's really important to understand karma and the fact that each individual is responsible for his or her state of being. And it is my own past actions that have caused me to be in the situation I find myself, and it is my present actions that will determine my future. And that's true of each one of us. And we can help inspire to have someone work on his or her karma in some way, but we can't actually fiddle with their karma. Their karma is the result of their past actions. What we can do is inspire someone to engage in the virtuous karma that will enable them to have a happy future. But in this wish to remove the suffering of others, what we are working at changing is our own attitude. It is working on that particular aspect that we do have some control over. Not much, but that's the only thing that we have any control over. So that's that. When we talk about the different perfections that one engages in developing once one has generated bodhicitta, the determination to become a Buddha, to be able to help all sentient beings, you work at developing the perfection of generosity, the perfection of ethics, the perfection of patience, the perfection of perseverance, the perfection of concentration, the perfection of wisdom. These perfections, the perfection of generosity, for example, which is the wish to provide others with whatever they need, and you're working at diminishing your anything that hinders that giving instinct. You're working at removing any kind of stinginess, any kind of inhibition to giving. And what it is not is the fulfillment of everyone's needs. It's not that the perfection of, come on in, tonight it's a sort of cozy environment. Come in, come in. So the perfection of generosity is not the removal of wow, thank you. That was a generous act here. The perfection of generosity is not the removal of the needs of all others. It's the removal of my inhibition to giving. We're working on ourselves. And so this compassion that we work at developing when we recite Om Mani Padme Hum is the wish to remove the suffering of others. Whether we can do so, whether it's for real or not, is not what we're aiming towards. Of course, in any way that we can, we help others, but this quality of compassion is the wish to remove the suffering of others. So, we have been discussing ethics for the new millennium by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and the last time we met, we really dwelt on artificial intelligence, technology, and that was an interesting discussion. So I think that places us still on page 10 for those of you who have the book. Yes? We need also to recognize that what happens when we rely too much on the external achievements of science. For example, As the influence of religion declines, there is mounting confusion with respect to the problem of how best we are to conduct ourselves in life. In the past, religion and ethics were closely intertwined. Now, many people believing that science has disproven religion make the further assumption that because there appears to be no final evidence for any spiritual authority, morality itself must be a matter of individual preference. So I think this is something for us to think about. The whole idea that moral values are subjective. Are they? Is good and bad something relative? Are
relational for their meaning.
okay? So we
but
can.
not in life. Yeah.
So explain, Tony.
No. Good and bad, of course, rely on each other for their definition. Blah blah blah. But you can't get blasé. But good is good because it will produce less suffering for you, and others bad is bad because you're only hanging yourself and others at the same. So that's the moral code you should carry around. At least I try to, but you know.
So here what is being presented is the whole idea, or what His Holiness is suggesting, is that as we begin to become, take on science as something of a religion itself, we begin to feel that moral values are not, that we can make up our own system, a matter of individual preference.
He said in some of his other books, people today rely on science as the final word about the nature of reality. It's the final word.
No, but here we're not talking about the nature of reality, we're talking about moral values. Yes.
Well, I'm just thinking, in science, they have a somewhat disreputable reputation of saying that the end justifies the means, which has led us into some pretty horrific situations. So I'm not sure that science is really a great arbiter of ethics.
Well, not only is science not a good arbiter of ethics, but ethics are not, what we're debating is whether ethics are themselves subjective rather than being objective.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right back.
Yeah?
Yeah. Closer to you. Thanks.
Can I have something to drink?
Do so quietly.
I think
100 trees planted for every 1,000,000 straws. Gosh, should I not use it or should I?
Plant it, see what happens.
I think people's ethics, they differ around the world, and they use there might be a scientific fact that they're using in their argument to say good or bad, but we know from certain debates, like around eugenics, it's not real science, but they use it as such as a tool to hurt others. So I think it's subjective in the sense that how it manifests itself in relationships in the world.
but there is an area of that is truth, and what is, like Tony was saying, with the good producing less suffering and good results, and you know, there's it's hard to, I mean, it's not super hard to find, but it's like hard to flesh out that thing. But like, I guess one would be, by and large, most people agree that murder is bad, shouldn't kill people around it. So I think that gets in that camp of like, non-murdering is good. But then you still also have people who say, no, we have to murder these people because this, let's say, eugenics reason, and then it's like, oh, and to them their ethics is right, and that they're righteous, and it's not actually promoting life. I guess it depends on what
That
the
has
whole.
been done.
So there is the story of the Buddha in a past life who was on the boat with 500 merchants, and one of them was actually a thief who was going to kill 499 of them in order to take what they had. And he, through his clairvoyance, saw this. And the only way in which he could prevent this person from killing all the others was to kill him. And so he did so. And when I heard this, I felt, well, this was a case where the Buddha determined that it was important to save the 499 people from that that one evil person. And someone said, no. The Buddha, out of compassion for the suffering that person was going to endure as a result of having killed 499 people, killed him. Just a little something to think about.
Why couldn't you just catch him and put him in a bag?
I don't know. You should have told him. You should have proposed that. I think part of the story is that was the only way to prevent this person from acting this way.
So that means our intention, our motivation is very important. If your intention, your emotion is like compassionate and wisdom, then do whatever you can do. But of course, within with the compassion and wisdom, then you do everything is right.
Yes, but as we are working towards developing, particularly the wisdom part of that,
So Buddha,
we can make mistakes.
Yeah, Buddha, that whatever he
No,
do
but
is
us.
No, we can't do that because we don't have compassion. Yeah, I'm saying, yeah.
So that's the trouble. Along the
We can't
way
do
to
that.
becoming Buddhas, we have in life all these trials, all these challenges. And we have to create a system. We have to create rules that we can apply to ourselves and to our society. And here, the suggestion is that people who consider that science in itself is a religion begin to feel that the rules can be subjective, that we can make our own rules according to what we think is right and wrong, rather than having an objective set of rules that we apply. So I thought that we could discuss what ethics are according to Buddhism, what this system is. And going back to Tsongkhapa, it is an attitude of abstention that turns your mind away from harming others and from the sources of such harm. You bring about the perfection of ethical discipline by progressively increasing your habituation to the attitude, to this attitude, a virtuous attitude, until you reach the completion of it. So, what are your thoughts on that? I'll reread it. It is the attitude of abstention. So you're abstaining from whatever, from a negative, that turns your mind away from harming others and from the source of that harm. And you bring this about by progressively increasing your habituation with the attitude, with this virtuous attitude, until, or this muscle of restraint, until you reach the completion of an ethical attitude. Any comments? Yes?
Is that staying away from a non-virtuous body, speech, and mind, which is a non-virtuous action,
Yes.
and then try to do the opposite of virtuous body, speech, and mind, and non-virtuous actions?
Correct. Yes. So it's developing the vigilance to abstain, to hold ourselves back from exactly the 10 non-virtuous actions. And you bring this about by progressively increasing your habituation. So the development of ethics is developing this restraint, this power of holding yourself back from.
Example?
For example,
Yeah.
keeping myself from having another sip. So what are the 10 non-virtuous actions?
Killing, right?
Yeah.
Drinking,
No, I don't think drinking is a non-virtuous action.
right?
Engaging.
Yeah, alcohol. Yeah, alcohol.
No.
Yeah.
No, no.
殺到入
This is you're
行
taking a
酒
vow.
That would be certain vows.
vows, non-virtual. Still like
So
lying,
you have 3 non-virtues of body. Was it 3 of speech and then 4 of mind?
Four speech.
4 of speech and 3 of
Yeah,
mind.
splitting, right?
Hmm?
Like talking to someone.
Divisive speech.
Yeah, gossip.
Yeah, gossip is another one too, right? 离間語 言語 yeah, gossip
言語
is 言語 that is, yeah.
Very important.
It's nonsense.
言語不好, is that right?
Useless talking, nonsense. Yeah,
Yes.
meaningless.
Frivolous speech, sometimes called it. They're different names in English, but we know what they mean. Divisive is important. Start a fight between them, very big. Turn on TV, you'll see it every day.
So, now these non-virtuous actions, what's interesting, I find, we talk about the 10 deadly sins, and these are not, the non-virtuous actions are actions that if we engage in them, we cause harm to others and we cause harm to ourselves. And it is by understanding the harm that is caused to others and the harm that is caused to ourselves that we develop the restraint. It's not that we are being told not to do them and therefore we should not do them. It's that we understand the mechanics of the harm that this brings us and thereby develop the restraint from engaging in them. So each one, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct,
the four speeches, lying,
divisive speech, idle talk,
and hateful.
and anger or wrathful.
Hateful speech, yeah.
So if we will go, and then
Wrong view, covetousness, and what the hell's the third one? They're in reverse order of seriousness.
covetousness.
Covetousness, wrong view, and the third, another one after that.
Ill will or ill
That's
intention.
it. Ill will.
So if we really look into each one of these, the more we focus on the effects of engaging in them, the more we develop the restraint necessary. And it is the development of that restraint that is ethical behavior.
So the perfection itself resides in the mind, not in the society. But the perfection, generosity is not that everybody's rich. No, but you are not stingy anymore.
Yes, and what Tony is saying is the same thing that we were talking about regarding compassion being the wish to remove the suffering of others. It's not the removal of the suffering that develops your compassion, it is that development of that wish. And the development of generosity is not that everyone is rich, it's that we are not stingy. So,
I think one of the things that makes Buddhism different from other religions, when they present morality and perfect character, everything's not the society, it's the internal situation. Very interesting.
and that you master it by your own hard work.
Can it be easier?
Yes, it is not the case that you bring the perfection of ethical discipline to completion in the outer world by establishing beings in a state free from all harm. If that were the case, since there are people who are still harmed, the Buddhas of the past would have failed, says Tsongkhapa. The perfection of ethical discipline is just the habituation with your own mind to the attitude of abstention, which turns away from harm to these beings. So do you have this book on your phone?
It's in Kindle, oh good. What is the e-book? It's an e-book.
It's ebook,
That's amazing. You have all that, you can study wherever you want.
Light, carry.
Science, see, they were right.
So, I don't know, going back to this. Now, many people believe that science has disproven religion, and make the further assumption that because there appears to be no final evidence of any spiritual authority, morality, now, no final evidence of any spiritual authority. Well, that's a big assumption. I don't know where that came from. Sorry?
I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means.
Well-
Further, morality itself must be a better.
The idea is that those people who believe that science has disproven religion assume that there is no final evidence of any spiritual authority, and therefore morality itself must be a matter of individual preference. if you undermine the whole idea of spiritual authority, then morality becomes arbitrary.
If that, yes.
Yeah?
So, but let's saying, what is the purpose of morality? That negative thoughts and behavior disturb your own mind.
Correct?
And so that could be a way of judging. When you come away from a situation, you're like, find yourself going over it and over and over, like, oh, I did that, I didn't do so good there, you know, maybe I did something wrong, and your mind is disturbed. It's sort of an indication of that was against your own moral, you know, it's something that disturbed your own mind. Wasn't good. That morality, the purpose of morality is to help you keep a clear mind.
And morality also contributes to your community.
Yeah.
I mean, your morally virtuous actions bring greater happiness to the world around you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like the people who use science to take down and attack these ideas of spiritual authority are using science as the tool for their own self-righteousness, to be like above others.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason it compels them to do that. But there's something probably to be said that we as people like to know absolutes, probably. This is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad. And so there's no consensus and no direct spiritual authority, but then someone says, God spoke to me. And I have the authority. Follow me, I'll show you the way. And so like, they have that, I think people are looking for that confidence at some point for to be led, because we, as from children, right, we're being led by the parents and we're believing as our first source of information, like we believe them. So I think there's stages of that continue in like adulthood. But then people get abused by those systems, they want to disprove it, or they want to be above that. Whether they want to be the God cult leader themselves, or they want to be just, there's scientific people on their high horse, I'm more intellectual than you, and it makes them feel, you know, something.
So, bringing this back to this Tsongkhapa's explanation of the method by which we cultivate ethics, Chandrakirti explains in his middle way, it is called ethical discipline because it does not acquiesce in the afflictions. In other words, it is a discipline that prevents us from engaging in afflictive behavior because it allows he says in this translation, it allows no sin to arise because it is coolness, since it quells the fire of regret. But the first part of this is it does not acquiesce in the afflictions. So ethical behavior refrains us from engaging in afflictive actions. Now, the word affliction is interesting, or afflictive action. An affliction, the word affliction means that it hurts me. And so when we talk about afflictions such as the root afflictions of attachment, aversion, ignorance, or pride, arrogance, jealousy, all of these are referred to as afflictions because they hurt me. They cause me to suffer. We're not talking about the harm that they may do to others. The afflictions are actions that cause me harm, cause me pain, cause me suffering. So, ethical discipline does not engage in, it is a discipline that prevents engaging in the afflictions. I think that's a wonderful way of thinking of it. I think that one need go no farther than that. And this is something to think about. In other words, this is not, we're discussing it here, but this is something that one has to actually, it's like a little nugget to be meditated on. Understanding how an affliction operates, how the affliction causes us to suffer, the affliction of anger, the way in which anger causes me to suffer, the affliction of desire or attachment causes me to suffer, the affliction of jealousy. Jealousy is something that I suffer from. And understanding that this ethical discipline is the muscle that restrains me from engaging in these actions that cause me to suffer.
It's an antidote to suffering then.
Yeah.
That which disturbs the mind, is that one of the definitions of an affliction? So the mind is naturally undisturbed. Disturb it. Ethics are the antidote to that. So there's your work plan.
Exactly. But it's a work plan that has to be cultivated. It has to be, and that's what analytical meditation is. It's really, the more we understand the value in refraining from those actions that cause us to suffer, the more we develop the restraint. The more we recognize the suffering that we experience if we don't engage in that restraint, that also helps develop restraint. This is all done in analytical meditation. This is all done in thinking about these things. And analytical meditation doesn't have to be done, sitting like this and with looking down the slant of the nose. Analytical meditation can be done, as Rinpoche would say to us, on the subway, even sitting on the toilet. He would often tell us many times.
Not the modern Japanese one, of course, the one where you can think it.
So,
always did say that.
yes. So the Bodhisattva promises to endow all beings with the ornament of ethical discipline. So, to relate this conversation again to the Buddhist Mahayana path, which, we are the Tibet Center, and we are, Buddhism is very much part of our, what would you call it, our brief, and yes, photography as well.
Feel better.
But bodhicitta, the bodhisattva, is the person who, in his or her spiritual journey, comes to a point of working not towards his or her own enlightenment or his or her own freedom from suffering, but determines to work towards a state where he or she can best benefit others. So the aim of the Bodhisattva is really a selfless one. It is working towards developing the most effective way of helping others. So the Bodhisattva promises to endow all beings with the ornament of ethical discipline. In order for the Bodhisattva to do so, he or she must first develop the strength of his or her own pure ethical discipline. You will not attain the perfection of ethical discipline through working towards this in others without having worked on it for yourself. So what do you think of that? The whole idea that we have to apply it first before we can really, if our ultimate aim is to endow everyone with the ornament of ethical discipline, the whole notion that in order to do that, I must first endow myself with perfect ethics.
Makes sense.
Yes?
Does that mean the Bodhisattva working for the perfect ethical conduct, they need sentient beings to practice?
Yeah.
They need sentient beings to practice ethical conduct.
Yes, but it's not a problem. They're
Yeah, like they're in the Pure Land or Tushik, but they have sentient beings too. But I don't know what I'm asking.
So what you're suggesting is that we should not. So there are. I mean, if we talk about this in a sort of doctrinaire way, we talk about Hinayana, Mahayana, the lesser vehicle that works towards extricating ourselves from a state of suffering, rather than Mahayana, the greater path that works towards the attainment of full enlightenment in order to help all sentient beings. But in the context of Lamrim, we consider that the Hinayana practices, or the practices that are associated with Hinayana, must be mastered along the way to the attainment of full enlightenment. We must master, Tsongkhapa talks about the lower scope, medium scope, and greater scope practitioners. And the Bodhisattva must master, develop those aims, aspirations of the lower scope being the medium scope and the greater scope. The lower scope is working towards a better life in the future. Now I work towards happiness in this life. I am, in terms of the sort of basic categories of being a non-spiritual person, I'm not even on the path. I'm simply working towards a nice, comfortable life in this life. To be working on the path is initially towards working towards a better future life. I'd say that maybe 2% of my energy goes towards that. 98% goes towards a nice, comfortable life here. I thank you for this matcha tea. It's very good. So a little worldly indulgence here. The second is working towards extricating ourselves from sickly existence. That's so far away from my comprehension. The third is working towards the attainment of Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. That's the aim of the bodhisattva. But in order to have that, you have to work towards a better life in the future. You have to work towards all the techniques for getting out of cyclic existence have to be mastered and have to be, what is it called, motivated by the great compassion that leads us towards the state of Buddhahood. Yes?
Going back to when you're talking about why, help, I can't remember how it was said now, why we have to have understanding and realization of our own ethical, what was it, what's ethical discipline?
Yeah?
Why do we have to have that? Because if the main way bodhisattvas help people is to teach, ostensibly, yes, to teach,
But
then how your teaching would not be effective if you didn't have a realization of the benefits of ethical discipline yourself. So you can't just go around saying you should be good, you should be kind, you should, right? Everybody should just be nice, unless you can explain from your own experience how that has benefited you to be that way.
The best teaching's by example.
Yeah,
And you can't do the example unless you actually inculcate the values.
yeah,
So that's right, bodhisattvas have to be what they're talking about.
yeah,
And then that makes a bigger effect on who's listening.
yeah.
And the bodhisattva recognizes that he or she, in order to be most effective, needs the omniscient qualities of a Buddha to most effectively help others along their paths. And one of the qualities that they have to perfect is ethical discipline.
Which again benefits you enormously. You can't hit a peaceful mind without ethics as a foundation. When they teach shamatha, ethics, concentration, wisdom in that order.
Yes. In order to, the ultimate nut, or the ultimate knot that prevents us from the omniscience necessary to truly benefit others is self-cherishing or self-grasping. And to undo that knot, we need concentration on the emptiness of self. And in order to be able to develop that concentration, we need an ethical basis. That's what you were saying.
Yeah, what Sheila is supposed to be, connotation is
Cool.
cool. People find it. Yeah, the mind's not here. It's all there.
People from Chicago are cool.
Especially now. Oh.
We were taught by our
That's how
teacher.
Rinpoche learned English, to keep things like that. So you would go on and on. I think it's
So-
hilarious. The English of it like.
So we must not be lax if we wish if we are devoted to the welfare of all other sentient beings. How do we go about this? We must meditate for a long time on the grave consequences of not safeguarding our ethical discipline and the benefits of safeguarding it. So here, this is the meditation, the analytical meditation that we have to engage in. We start off by really recognizing the negative aspects of not developing ethics and the positive aspects of doing so. Those thoughts themselves will help us refrain from non-virtuous, negative actions, and will help us develop the enthusiasm to engage in actually refraining from unethical behavior.
It's not an easy subject.
We do go back to that issue of like what is ethical behavior in our modern society. So if you're looking at scientists, let's say animal testing,
Yeah.
Tremendous suffering for the animal. And that people doing it, I think, feel it's justified, the ends justify the means, right? So,
Now this is very delicate, we all, even vegetarians, eat rice, and in order to cultivate rice, you kill huge amounts of insects. And then if you are not a vegetarian, you are contributing to the killing of sentient beings to feed yourself. So it's not easy.
no.
To keep ourselves on the moral high ground is difficult. But if we work at cultivating the motivation to develop our ethical behavior, and if we work at refraining from engaging in those actions that are not ethical, at least we are turning the direction in a more virtuous way.
So back to the beginning of that subject, you were saying, is it subjective or objective? So now it seems like it's more objective than subjective.
So this is, you put your, so though we could say on one level of objectivity, refraining from engaging in actions that cause us and others to suffer would be the objective, but there will be a subjective element to the way we actually do so. You have, when you're walking down the street and someone asks you for money, if you know that that person is going to drink or buy drugs or whatever it is, do you give or do you not give? There's no clear rule. I mean, at my level, with my stinginess, I'm learning to give. A higher level bodhisattva would have the wisdom to determine that it would be better to not give, to prevent that person from hurting himself or herself.
But the decision wasn't made, Decision wasn't made out of stinginess, the high-level bodhisattva would see it. Whereas us, if we're wavering because we're holding back a little.
So this is something,
Very useful.
and it's something we have to really bring into our thoughts as we navigate life. I think it's really important to see here. You bring about the perfection of ethical discipline by progressively increasing your habituation with the attitude of turning your mind away from harming until you reach the completion of it. The perfection of ethical discipline is just the habituation within your own mind to the attitude of abstaining, which turns away from harm to others. So thinking about this, do think about this as you start your day before you go out into the world. This little, we can think of it as like a nice little grid pattern of rules that we can work at trying to remember. And it all is aiming towards refraining from engaging in actions that are going to cause me to suffer, that are going to provoke my afflictions, my causes of suffering. So maybe we'll stop there.
Have anyone there?
Yes, sorry.
Mary Jane can you say that? McLeaven?
What?
Sorry, the first one doesn't have a vowel in there.
Hold on a second.
Maniwa Hideki, Stephanie Everett, and Victor Novatsky.
Mary Jane McElveen.
Okay. So we are reciting the Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the wounds of virtue. He is completely ornamented with patience. He is the basis of treasure of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all essential beings. He is the father of all bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of Nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He's not stained by the realm of desire. He's not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from ignorance. He is not possessed with dhatus. His life has our control. He is completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He is crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the moving mercies of all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of greatness of the Buddha Bhagavata. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavad teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma which is taught by the Bhagavad is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy. It is its anthem and journey. As for the sound of the great God, they enter completely, they enter exactly, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously, they are worthy of veneration and joining palms, they are worthy of receiving prostration, they are a field of glorious merit, they are completely capable of receiving all gifts, they are an object of generosity, they are a great object of complete generosity, the protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure the cause of freedom and compassion, virtuous liberating the low road. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma which is peace. Having liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are only field of merit who possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha leader. I prostrate to the Dharma protector. I prostrate to the son of the community. I prostrate respectfully always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Therefore, the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure mind. And let's recite the 8 verses on training the mind. With the determined
To accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings,
whose capacity in which granting truth, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think myself the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme and very depths to my heart. In all actions, I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as the disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings, and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly, with a view to slander and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I had benefited with great hope uneasily hurts me very badly, I will learn to be that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my others. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by pain, gain, worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as resolutions, be released from the bondage of attachment.
And now a prayer for the swift return of Dr. Trungpa Rinpoche. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge manifest in the form of one where sapphire rose, Guru rules down to one Mujita. Please bear with us today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech you for a torch of doctrine, accomplishing one of the last ways of aspirational prayers. Lord, the speech of the victor of Losana's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the foreign body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Manakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by Bodhicitta on by 7 seeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings, and which will endure, return as the glory of Losana Tempe. Magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karmayama, and Srimati Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. Thank you.
Thank you, very good.
We'll have class on Wednesday in South Orange, New Jersey.
Next Saturday, no Tara.
Next Saturday, no Tara. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank everyone for